A new flavor for your ear. Epic Spotlight. Putting the spotlight on positive goings on the real people that have chosen a real path. The who's, the whys, and the hows are being shared and given.
And we're back. And we got another one. But before we get going, got to take care of some housekeeping notes. This episode today is sponsored by Epic Mortgage. Whether you're buying, investing, or refinancing, call Epic 708-905-5300. It's your dreams, your goals, so let's plan together. Call Epic today. Now on with the show. Today we have Benaiah Link. He has his MA, MS, OMHP. He is a seasoned qualified mental health professional with over 16 years of experience. He specializes in trauma and anger management, offering personalized counseling utilizing various therapeutic approaches, including CBT, client-centered and solution-focused modalities. Benaiah's expertise spans crisis intervention, individual and group therapy, addressing issues such as major depression, anxiety, anger management, and behavioral disorders. He integrates physical and mental health techniques, leveraging his background as a personal trainer for holistic well-being. Currently, Benaiah serves as the Senior Curriculum Specialist Supervisor at Youth Guidance Becoming a Man, BAM program, and works part-time as an outpatient therapist at Healing, Empowering, and Learning Professionals, LLC. Providing telehealth therapy sessions, he holds a bachelor's degree in psychology with a minor in music from Chicago State University and a master's degree in sports exercise psychology from Argosy University and a second master's degree in clinical mental health counseling from Walden University. Additionally, Benaiah is a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Incorporated. So, welcome, Benaiah.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you for coming. I appreciate you being on the spotlight. Wanted to get right into it. Just mental health is a topic.
Big time.
And so we go through it, obviously from any type of level of like industries that you're in. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to talk about what are just some techniques and how do we deal in combating mental health?
One of the techniques is, as you have read my profile and my bios, is mentioning about physical and mental health pretty much go hand in hand. And so one of the techniques to handle or to work through mental health a lot of times is deep breathing. It's like that literally is one of the most simplest things of all. It's being able to kind of breathe through certain things that you're dealing with. Most people deal with anxiety, of course, and as we speak off air, trauma is one of the biggest things that we deal with every single day. And recognizing that trauma can be big or trauma can be small. Most times people think that trauma is something that's major that happens or like a car accident or something like that, but it could be something as getting whooped as a kid. It could be something as being unpunishment. It could be something as almost getting hit by a car. And so these things lead to anxiety issues, and these anxieties kind of pour all into our adult lives. And so one of the biggest things for us to kind of like work through that is being able to debrief and also seek help if you can't work through those things.
Sure. Am I a local lender? Yes, I can be, but I'm also a lender that is just a phone call, a Zoom meet, a direct message, or a text message away from working with you. The money that I can provide and the programs that I have can be shared in all states that I'm licensed in. I can be of service to you. Whether you're in Denver, Houston, Orlando, Chicago, Detroit, Fort Wayne, or Alexandria, I got your back. If you need me, just reach out and let me show you what I can do for you and your family. Obviously, I've noticed a heightened anxiety, obviously, even in the real estate market, when people are trying to buy homes, I can feel that anxiety over the phone at times, talking to people because they're so nervous. They want everything to go right. So deep breathing, that's kind of like the woo-saw method, right?
Yeah.
So what are some common mental health issues besides anxiety that are people facing right now?
There's, of course, PTSD. Anxiety, PTSD, depression. But most times people think that they are going through depression when they have depressed feelings or depressed moments. Every person goes through a depressed moment. If you're going through something, a heartbreak, going through something, disappointment of not closing on a home or having a breakup in a relationship or anything that pretty much have you had a depressed feeling or something that you just did not quite accomplish that day. So people think, oh, I'm going through depression. No, you're having a depressed moment. And so that's typically one of the most common things in the Black and brown population. The most diagnosed or misdiagnosed thing is ADHD. That is one that I get very, very frustrated when people, especially medical doctors, who want to say, hey, this kid has ADHD, but let's kind of look at culturally what's going on here with the background, what's going on with the kid or the person, what's going on with their background. A lot of times there's certain environmental factors that say that this kid cannot focus, so therefore automatically what can we do to shift their focus? Without certain resources, of course, kids be hyper. Kids are sitting in classes for 8 hours a day and only have certain breaks. You're in the same classroom all day. So of course, kids are going to be antsy and naturally, oh, he or she is busy. ADHD. No, he's bored. She's tired. You need something else to kind of distract them. My son, at some point, a doctor was trying to diagnose my son with ADHD. No, my son has had environmental factors going on behind the scenes. And at the same time, once we kind of work with his learning, no ADHD. But being a parent, an active parent, as also being a therapist, I was able to combat that and shout the doctor and ask the doctor, well, what is your credentials? You have an MD. I'm qualified in my area here. So at the same time, being able to fight and advocate for our children.
I know when I was a child, I had some emotional, disturbances, and it probably was because of my parents getting divorced.
Yes.
So I know a divorce situation could obviously affect someone's behavior. Why is he acting out, or why is he, so frustrated or having just emotional swings?
Right.
So that is something where, I agree with you. I'm not in your field, but I would say before we want to put a drug in someone's mouth, we should, assess the situation.
100%. The same thing is like my son, and I will do some self-disclosure. My son has gone through a divorce situation between me and my ex-wife. And so at the same time, it would happen when he was young, but he's dealing with the different factors of course, there's a new person in the home. His mom got remarried. I'm about to get remarried. So of course, children sometimes have to work with that adjustment. And sometimes there can be some behavioral problems in the process.
Sure. Now, you're a former athlete. I mean, do you recommend exercise as a way to kind of diffuse or, like you said, have a more of a deeper focus? Is that some of the exercises that you would recommend for someone?
100%. Exercise, working out can be a great distraction. So being able to work out, being able to shift your mind from whatever you have going on here to focus on working out. And so a lot of times, also being a personal trainer, and have my master's in sports exercise psychology, of course, mixing those two together. So working out is definitely one of the biggest things that I recommend to my client. I have clients that when I talk to my clients, we work on different things over the screen, pretty much about what he can do to help him to kind of focus on his anxiety or even his depressive feeling he's having. And he worked out big time.
Hey, Dante, is a pre-approval guaranteed?
The answer to that question is no. It's not guaranteed. It's just a pre-approval. It's based on the information that's been provided. The file still has to go to underwriting and be reviewed by the underwriter. They're the ones that will give us what we love, a clear to close. Have a great day.
Now, when you talked about depression, you referenced it might be a moment in time versus true mental depression. What can you kind of decipher between the two scenarios?
So to say depressive feelings, of course, is something that pretty much happening at the moment. Of course, being able to not arrive somewhere on time. We talk about that when you come here. That could be anxiety as well as you're depressed because you missed out and you're having a depressive feeling based upon missing out on an opportunity. Or if they could be like a breakup, something that is moments for a short period of time versus things that are long term. You're going through depression if it lasts over for like several weeks. So then you kind of go into the DSM-5 or the diagnostical statistical manual that we use as therapists to kind of look at, okay, what are the long-term effects of these depressive feelings? So if these depressive feelings or thoughts are lasting for a long time, then it's classified as actual clinical depression.
Got it. And then as far as when you're dealing with clients, I'm imagining that you're setting up goals.
Yes.
So kind of walk me through that scenario. Like if I was coming to you for the first time, just how's the assessment? Are we filling out paperwork? Are we just talking? Take me through that.
So with our agency that I work for, it's called, for abbreviations, is Healing and Power Professionals, or Health-LLC. We have an intake process. The client is going through something, then they will call our office, and they will go through this entire intake process over the phone. Of course, it'd be a virtual session, and kind of go through the symptoms and how long it lasts, and kind of go through a whole entire demographic. Let's kind of find out a lot about their client, to have a history, to know what, when the therapist is assigned, based upon the therapist's specialties and expertise, then they kind of is matched up according with that way, based upon. So once the client has filled out paperwork, so of course signed off an agreement that you are agreeing for treatment, then of course we get the billing information. Of course, if the client is paying out of pocket through insurance or whatever it is, private pay, whatever it is, and then from that point, then they get signed with the therapist. When they get assigned to me, then of course I do my introduction. Hey, I'm Benaiah Link. I'm the therapist. You've been assigned to my case. Hey, I want to find out what's going on here. I know you went through all the intake processes. Tell me what's going on here and what brought you to service. But before I even do that, it's kind of go back. I also tell my clients that I want to kind of go with some housekeeping rules and some housekeeping information. That anything that you say is totally confidential and it stays within the session. I cannot, because we're in a virtual session, I cannot secure your information beyond from what you do behind the scenes. But where I am, and your information will always stay here. Unless there is something that is said that I need to break confidentiality, such as any harm to yourself or any thoughts of harm to any other person, that's the only time I have to break confidentiality. Once we kind of get to that and the clients agree and understand the stipulations, then we go right into our sessions. At that point, then I gather more information. I get beyond the intake information. Sometimes the clients don't give everything with the intake process, and then they kind of feel comfortable telling me about what's going on here. And then we dive right on in.
Got it. And then are there some exercises that you'll, besides the breathing, obviously, are there some additional exercises that you would recommend? And
I know I kind of want to go back and you mentioned like exercises as well as treatment goals. When I find out what the client wants to work on, what are some things that you need to work on and we'll work on. And then that's when I start and they set up goals or treatment plan. And we start to, then I introduce certain things new on that day. And then we work on other things that will kind of help the client out big time.
Our focus at Epic Mortgage is your dreams and your goals, so let's plan together. We want to help you plan the steps on achieving your dreams. At Epic Mortgage, it's your dreams, it's your goals, so let's plan together. Have an epic day.
Now, is there a frequency that you would recommend? Am I speaking to every week, once a month, every quarter?
Well, basically with the client sessions are weekly. And with some clients, basically we have a 1-year goal. What can we accomplish and what are the goals within 1 year? And what are some different things that we're going to work on together to kind of help the client with work towards those goals. So then the client sessions are weekly. Once the client has actually worked on some treatment goals and accomplished a few of those, then we start to go to bi-weekly. And then at some point, we may even go once a month. But typically, client sessions are every single week. And sometimes clients are, hey, Benaiah, I'm going through something. I'm having an issue right now. Can I see you again this week? And sometimes I've had clients that had twice a week.
Got it. And how do you really judge performance? I mean, how do you know they're moving well? Sometimes I can think of, friends that I've known that have done some type of therapy, and it feels like they're not really changing per se, but they're just having a friend to talk some stuff out. But, sometimes we don't necessarily see it from the surface level. Mm-hmm. How do you assess hey, they're moving in the right direction?
So, of course, it's the question I'm asking. So when I asked about, what's going on here? And then by me getting to know the client, I know a lot about the client's information and kind of find out, hey, how's things going on with your relationship? Hey, what's going on with you there? So if I have a client that is a caretaker of his mom, and his mom is elderly and his mother has dementia. So it's like the biggest issue the client wanted to see me is because he was dealing with compassion fatigue. He was dealing with burnout. He was dealing with frustration and anger and fear of his mother's passing. So how I'm using him for prime example is I will assess how the week went. Hey, have you had any episodes? Have you lashed out at your mom? Have you had this right here? If the client says, Mr. Link, I've had a great week. I haven't had any incidents. Hey, I'm doing this right here. Hey, I utilized what you said last week. I know you said the deep breathing. I know you mentioned about, hey, this reading material, this poem or so that kind of helped me out. Hey, now I'm journaling. I'm writing things down. Hey, I'm picking back up my instrument that I did before. So different things that we talk about as I learn the client, then we kind of integrate that. And I can see that there is some change. And many times, there is some relapse. And once the clients kind of have some relapse, then we kind of go back over some old things or we integrate new goals to kind of get back on track.
Do you feel that at times a client may need a different voice? Are there times where you say, hey, I might not be the best, or are you virtually able to help anyone? Or are there particular people that you would prefer to work with or you work better with, I should say?
So in our agency, we have a lot of clinicians, and as I mentioned before, is a agency that's designed for our Black and brown population. I am one of two men that only work for our agency. And I say that to say that each therapist has different approaches. Different skills, different skill sets, different approaches to certain things. Now, if a client is at a certain point that it's not working out, then we will refer the client to someone else who will be a better fit. I've had clients that were better fit that moved on to me because it wasn't working out with one of the female therapists because of her style.
Sure.
No harm, no foul. It's pretty much I was a better fit. And it had times that I had a newer client that said, you know what? I know I want a male therapist, but I really want a female therapist that is this. So I want a female therapist that has a doctorate, which is credentials. So
right.
No problem. We shift on over. And it's no problem. But we have that consultation with the other therapists to say, hey, this is what's going on here. And so I want to now transfer the client over to you because you are best fit.
Hey, Dante, what is seasoned money?
Seasoned money is funds in your bank account that have been verified. They've been in your account for at least 60 days. Anything less than 60 days would require us to verify and source where those new deposits came from. Have a great day.
That's great. Obviously, the reason why I wanted you here because health is wealth, and but when we talk about health, sometimes we think about the physical, and we don't always think about the mental. And so the mental is so important, especially just with the anxiety, as we talked about, the stress from family goals oriented, what we're striving for on a day-to-day basis. Where does someone find you, Benaiah?
So you can find me on Psychology Today. And you can go ahead and under Psychology Today, you can, of course, narrow it down and spell out my name, Benaiah, last name Link, Link. And you can also find me on the agency that I work for is www.help-llc.org. And then, of course, and Benaiah-Link. So, of course, type in help. Of course, you can find me amongst the list of clinicians there with my wonderful smile that's on the my profile over there, as well as looking at the specialties that I have. So these are two ways to find me. You go on Psychology Today, it will definitely refer you over to the agency, and then that's how we can possibly set up a session.
Hey, this has been great information today, Benaiah. I appreciate you coming once again. I want you to have an epic day.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much, man.
Yep.
That have chosen a path. The who's, the whys, and the hows are being shared and given to you.